All right, the countdown is over and time to start. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Vaidya's Chess Hub. I can see that there is a guest today we have from West Bengal. I don't think Ankit is still with us. Ankit, if you are with us, say hello to CR7 Fan Club. He's also from West Bengal, by the way. And welcome to all the people who are just joining in. It is Wednesday, and so it's the day when I play calm, silent, classical game on leeches. So students have been saying that they prefer the wooden chess settings. So let's go ahead and first find an opponent for ourselves. 15 plus 15, is that what we are going to go for? Let's do that. 15 plus 15. Let me just change the board settings, by the way. People want me to go for the wooden 4 and the alpha pieces. Let me just make my first move here. We're going to go for the Alakine defense as usual. So this is the setting that students love, and this is the Alakine defense. The only point in this is that if the arrows are drawn in green, they are not so clear. So this is pretty standard Alakine defense game. At the moment, we are dealing with the main line. Okay, before I make my moves, here is a quick clarification. On the left, you see that I have mentioned the order in which I select my move. So first we are going to look for any forced sequence that we have that gains tempo. Otherwise, we will look at hanging pieces and tactics. If not, then a developmental move. Otherwise, a strategy, and last but not the least, play a waiting move. So at the moment, I think according to the main line, bishop g4 is definitely the move to make. So I will go ahead and do that. Nowadays, engines over here also suggest the pawn takes pawn move, and after that you have knight to c6, but still going by the old main line, which is bishop g4. Let's look at our opponent. Our opponent is from Norway, and by the way, you definitely know that the current world chess champion, Grandmaster Magnus Carlsen, is also from Norway. So the countries match. I hope that this is not his ID in disguise. And let's look at his experience. He's played 2000 classical games. So the experience is definitely much more than what we have. My experience of playing classical is only 49 games. So you can imagine the huge difference there. It's a huge difference. He has played 2000 classical games while I have played just 49. Now here the question is which way to take. Should I take with the c pawn or should I take with the e pawn? And here, by the way, at the moment, I suppose sincerely that taking with the e pawn is better, because I would want my bishop on e7. That just gives me a square. So I'm going to do that. And maybe he will castle. So will I, if he does that. I want to make sure that we use times. Oh, before castling, there's just a question posed to our bishop, like what to do. And at the moment, I don't want to go ahead and take the knight. I don't want to give up my good bishop for the knight so early. So I'll just drop my bishop back. Of course, he can continue to pester, but he's not done that. I want this knight on the square b6. He's playing fast. He has more time than us. I don't think that's a great idea for the classical time control. He did this with two intentions. First, that he supports this pawn, because after bishop takes, if you take with the bishop, this pawn was hanging. The other reason is that he wants to fianchetto the bishop and put it on the longest diagonal. That's one of his strategies, I think. And the point is, now we can put our bishop before his bishop on the longest diagonal, although that would not exactly be a fianchetto. If you put this bishop here, it's called the fianchetto. And this will actually pin the pawn. So we are looking at hanging pieces. So I think that after you remove the defender, this pawn is definitely hanging. So it makes sense to do this move. Of course, I also can set a trap with c5. If the pawn takes, the bishop can take the rook. That can happen. So he has done that, and I think I can pressurize it more. So let's see, if I play c5, then I will have I will have a pawn attacking it, the bishop attacking it, and he will just have the queen, bishop, and knight defending it. But the knight can be taken. However, he cannot take the pawn immediately because bishop takes b2 is a big time threat. That looks so tempting. That looks very tempting indeed. Somehow I feel that let's do the castling. We are not playing too fast. I think that he is playing very fast. Those who have joined in late, whoa, why have you joined in so late, I wonder? For an online lecture, you should not be late, guys. I don't like that, don't appreciate that. Now, let's look at the points that I have for you. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 points that I've shared with you. So the first one is forced sequence. So over here, do I have a forced sequence? Unlikely. The bishop on b2 is hanging, but of course this pawn is protected once, twice, and thrice. The knight can be taken though, so let's not count that. The rook e1 might be something interesting. Also interesting is, what if I play c5 here? This pawn is pinned. Still cannot do anything with the pawn. Bishop takes b2. So that looks a good move here. Yeah, that does look good because of the pin here. By the way, I've emphasized it on multiple occasions that Omkar sir and I have gone through your games, and in today's notifications, I hope guys you read that there are 4 players whom I've mentioned from our chess hub who actually have shown great promise, and we look forward to their tournament play as soon as the world gets back to normal after this COVID-19 thing. They are playing at a level of almost 2000, or even I might say 2050, at that level. So Vihang, Saumitra, it's just incredible. Now he has played the rook, still ignoring this. I think I can exploit the fact that the pawn is still pinned by moving the knight. So if I move this knight, that forces the issues because still his pawn is immovable. I take on b2 and then I have the rook as well to take. So he cannot just push the pawn and take my knight and be happy. And if that happens, then he will really be struggling because there will be 3 attackers here. 1, 2, and the knight will be attacking it. So there will be 3 attackers after I take on f3. Question is, should I play knight c6 immediately? So the point I was emphasizing is knight c6. If the pawn pushes, bishop takes b2. If pawn takes knight, I still have bishop takes a1. That is the main thing. Well, Saumitra, 2000 is definitely on the cards. I will say 2050 for some games. I have really seen this and studied your games, Saumitra, so I'm not flattering you. In most of the games it's around 2000, but for some games it is definitely 2050. I appreciate that. So you are playing well, keep it up. Again, is there anything that we can force here? No, nothing much. I'll have to probably drop my bishop. That's probably it. Can't do much here. There is nothing to sacrifice on g4. Although now I must say that in such situations the king is vulnerable because he has no pawn on h2, no pawn on g2. Slightly misplaced, I would say. If we have time today, we are going to go for tactics, depending on how quickly I'm able to finish this game. He has put an opposition here for the bishop. But now I think this pawn is in great jeopardy as it is attacked 3 times but defended twice. I just have to make sure that there is no element, surprise element here. Don't want to be surprised. So what if I take the pawn and then he takes it? But obviously that will happen. How about playing the rook first? There is a reason why I'm saying that. His knight will really struggle to come in the game, because this blocks the bishop's view and this blocks the queen view. This is going to be really something to watch out for. Yeah, sure. If I take this, will I be able to hold on to that? If I take the pawn, let's look at the defenders again. If I take it, he will first take the bishop, I suppose, and then I can take with the f pawn. And then he will have the knight attacking it and the bishop attacking it and the queen attacking it, while I will have two defenders. Is that good? I think I can still count on this pawn because it's still pinned. So let's go for rook e8. That does look good. Rook e8, as I believe. I think Shriram needs to control his emotions here. Shriram, if you are listening, I believe that you are issuing a challenge to some player. I will have you removed out of the group. I'm telling you that very clearly. Isn't that really something that is comedy and unnecessary? I want Shriram to type something here. So don't issue challenge to Rupak. Master Shriram Redekar. Don't joke here. So Shriram, if you are online, well, just say something. You don't have to issue challenges to players when you are here to watch a game. Otherwise, you might not even have logged in. Not compulsory. But it is a joke. Rupak is here watching this. And there you are, challenging players during the play. It's funny. Watch this. Okay, guys. Now let's take a look at the calculation part. And by the way, let this be said that this is very disturbing for me in my play. Now, for the calculation part, let me just come to the point here. Now, clearly, I can sense that this knight is the only one for the rook. If I take this, he'll have to take with the queen, and then the rook starts supporting, but the bishop is still hanging. I like what I see here, actually. If I take with the bishop, he takes with the queen and then go with the knight over here. Would that work? Just taking the pawn is, I believe, at the moment, cool and comfortable. Let's do it. Will he take the bishop? Wonder. Okay, Shriram, good boy. Very good. And now, by the way, this would have been a check. Had to take with the knight. I could have done that. Surely I could have done that. Agreed. I could have done that. Because then this was forced, and we always looked at the chart for forced sequence. That's why I said, don't do things that will disturb my game. No, I think Shriram, you need to control yourself. Rupak is not making an issue out of it. I think you are creating an issue. I don't care whether it is by mistake or what. You don't have to issue the challenge. If you are watching my game on YouTube, there is no reason for you to be active on leeches. Don't blame Rupak for this. I do believe that it was by mistake. Just see to it that you're not telling Rupak anything. I have understood that it was by mistake. Don't tell Rupak anything. That's more important. It is good to note that our opponent is thinking for some time now. So he has taken the bishop. I think that was in line and what was expected. It's not a check, so I can still go ahead and take the rook. Can I? Yes, I can. So I can take the rook because that will be a check first. And after that, well, let's say if he takes with the knight or with the queen, he loses one of the attackers. At the moment, there are 3 attackers. He will lose one attacker, and that would mean that I would have a couple of defenses in place. And after that, I could go ahead and take the bishop. The bishop is going nowhere. So I sincerely believe that this time I should take the rook. There's no doubt about that. Because that means that one of these attackers is going to go away. It's a check. Has to deal with the check first. The bishop on g6 is going nowhere. On Friday, as usual, I will make sure that I will make sure that you all use time. I'll probably even start awarding people for using their time. Mention their names in notifications maybe. Using time is important. Good to see our opponent again utilizing his time. All of you must understand that I'm playing with a player who is 1900 or 2000. So it's always a good fight, by the way. Always interesting. But the question is, it's always the rule that you should take towards the center. I repeat that that's the rule. You should take towards the center. So I don't want to take with the F pawn. I want to take with the H pawn. Now let's see what happens now. Could I go queen e7 as well? Now our opponent is thinking, no doubt about that. Our opponent is thinking, and I am happy with this approach. Don't forget, I repeat, he is more experienced than me. He has played 2000 classical games, and that is really a huge experience. While I have played just 49 games. Imagine that. Imagine that. That's a huge experience. We are talking about 2000 classical games, not bullet, classical games. So that's an immense experience. And still to be in 1900s, well, yeah, sure, you've done it quite decently, I must say. From Norway. And how many bullet games there? No, he has not played a single bullet game. So he mostly plays classical games only. He is someone who plays classical games. The point with the capture here is that if we had a rook here, then I would have preferred taking with the F pawn. Since we don't have the rook there, I prefer following the rule, take it towards the center. So always remember this is difference. So the point is, if you have the rook on the f8 square, then f takes is better, just to give the open file for the rook. But since we don't have the rook there, I thought that maybe taking with the h pawn is better. And now what? The queen has come back into the attack with the queen attacking this pawn. I think here we can set up this is very important, that bishop is still hanging without the queen there, of course. So is there any way we can exploit this? Now he has got 3 attackers, by the way. Time to bring, probably time to bring the rook also in the game. This is interesting. We will decide on the name for the Friday's tournament after this game, guys. Don't worry. After this game, I will definitely see to it that we will, go ahead and study, or rather take opinions for Friday's tournament. What if I put the bishop here? Then if he takes, then play the queen here. Wouldn't that be great? Putting the bishop on e5. Putting the bishop on e5. Well, if I put the queen on e7, there is this tempo that he will get. I don't want that. If I play the bishop to e5, then he takes, then my pawn starts supporting. So after bishop e5, should he go ahead and take? I have queen f6. Then again there is pressure here. I like this move. I like what I see here. Queen f6 is coming up next. Let's see, I've decided to try this queen f6 thing. We have half the time that our opponent has. Again, a typical feature. When I play classical, it's always the case, I've noticed. Because the time is not the main issue there. It's plus 15, remember. Not that it's plus 0, it's plus 15. So, okay. I hope in in one of my previous lectures, you have made a note of all the 5 points that I consider. So I think you wrote it once in some lecture about the force sequence, hanging pieces, development, strategy, and finally the waiting move. Because this is the way you have to formulate and then probably come up with a move. That's why our opponent is thinking, should he take that bishop or not? It's not so easy, because the thing is, if he just takes this, then my pawns start supporting each other. It will be some, it will be something special. And alongside, that's why I did not take. Now, alongside, there was another plan that I had in place, which was this knight taking here and going for a fork, which I'm going to do, I think, now anyway. Should I? Yeah. Yeah, I think I like this. I'm attacking the knight. If knight takes, then I have this. And by the way, another thing, if knight takes pawn, is that I have this move queen to h4. It does look good, queen to h4. Okay, Vihang will leave about 10 minutes before time. It's okay. No, I don't prefer using Zoom, guys. I don't like using Zoom. I'd rather stick to our channel. That's better than having it done on Zoom. I don't like Zoom. Now the knight is hanging, so this will force issues, and I have said that this queen h4 does look powerful because our bishop won't allow king h2. Things will start getting interesting, and of course then the rook can come in the game. Also now I cannot deny the possibility of this. And if the queen is not controlling f4, then queen can. Lot of things. Regarding Zoom, there is, I think, a big confusion. Some people say it's not Chinese. Some people say it is Chinese. There is a lot of problems. At the moment, I'm just happy with the YouTube channel. I don't want to use Google Meet as well. This one is absolutely fine. So no Zoom and no Google Hangout or Meet. I don't want this. This is just fine for the moment. Enough can be learned in this way. Why look for something fancy when the job gets done very well this way? Yes, I think we are missing out on Alison today. She might not be there to watch this one at home. Maybe she's some work. Zoom, well, people say that some part of the creators are from China, but the majority ownership is in the US. Why get into those details? I don't care. Even if it is American, I don't care, because I don't have to use it. I'm happy with the way things are going here. There is absolutely no issue as I see. There's no reason. Even if it is American, I don't care, because I don't need it. This is going just fine for the moment. You are getting to learn something. The point of Google Meet is just that we see each other's faces. Big deal. As long as you see me, I should be fine. And I get your reactions on the chat. It's fine. Is she here? Prajna is saying they are in the chat. No, I don't think she's. I saw. So our opponent has finally made a move, and it is an interesting one. Ooh, that is really an interesting one. Guess what? I think now we can gain a momentum by playing this move. Gains a momentum on the queen, by the way. It does, doesn't it? It does. It absolutely does. Still the rook on the open file. Would that be good, or should I reroute my knight? I like what my knight will do. At the moment, he has got 1, 2, 3, 4 attackers, and I've got 3 defenses. If I push this pawn, he takes, and then I take. That doesn't look great, does it? No, that doesn't look great. Okay, 4 minutes, guys. Do we have that kind of time? Let's do it. I'm interested in doing this. This one looks good. Let's see. Okay, now what? He's finally taken his pawn. He deserved to take that pawn, by the way. So it was his pawn, always was. The question now is, do we continue taking, or do we proceed with our plan, which is to play knight to c5? I think we will do that. Does look good. This certainly fascinates, because then you have the knight and the queen looking at f2. Someday that might come in handy. Yes, this is a very interesting game, I must say. Thanks for that, by the way. Yeah, and by the way, why this is interesting is because you're getting a player with an experience of 2000 classical games. Guys, instead of chatting in and discussing other things, we'll focus on this fact that we here are putting some decent fight against a player who has an experience of 2000 classical games. By no stretch of imagination should you forget that, okay? That part. It's very important. So what happened now? So we have this knight takes one attacker, two attackers, three attackers, and he has got three defenders. So we can definitely go ahead and exchange. We can definitely do that. We also have this move bishop to f4. We cannot now go with our knight here, so we want the exchange. 3 minutes and counting. Should I put my rook here as well? But that will be with a check. If I move this and he takes the rook, it will be with a check. So that's not exactly ideal. This would also do, or maybe something extraordinary. But if I play king h7, he has this. Looks bishop f4 does look good, I must say. Well, let's consider if knight takes d4, what are the chances? He cannot take with the queen, so he has to take with the bishop. Go ahead and exchange everything that I have. No, bishop f4 does look good to me. Bishop f4 it is, because I said it gains some momentum. I like that. Gaining on queen. Where does the queen go after this, by the way? No, how would that have helped? How would that have helped? Now he is also wondering where he wants to put his queen. That's also not an easy thing for him, considering I also have knight b4, by the way. So there, huh? Okay. 1, 2, 3. We go all the way back here. Should we go all the way back there? Maybe king h7. Maybe the knight here. Yeah, let's do that. This is nice. So 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3. Oops, 3 defenders. Okay, I'm doing the best that I can. Don't forget his experience. Now the pawn will come in handy here. If I get my pawn on e5, that will be really great. Okay, I don't think that is quite great because I have this. Should I take there and then do that? My queen, by the way. If I do this and he takes, I take. Okay, that is doable. I had to play quick now. Now this has become complicated. I must say, this has become very interesting and it's satisfying. Again, on Friday, I'm going to see how many of you come down to some seconds. It's very important, guys. How many of you actually come down to some seconds here? I'm going to take here. He has to take with the queen, I suppose. Then I'll take here. And I have a free move then. Don't I? I have a free move there. Yeah, I'm winning the queen. He will take first, right? He will take first. Whoa. Okay, so I can win a pawn at least. I will win the pawn at least, guys, because now he has to take and I'll take back with the knight. So I'm winning a pawn here at least. So now if he takes the queen, then I'm going to take back with the knight. And we will be a pawn up. Of course, he has d6, I believe. I'm not very sure what he wants to do. Okay, he wants to save. Interesting. So can we go ahead and do this? Extraordinary, no. Let's go back here. This is getting very interesting. I have 1 minute only, 1 minute and 34. By the way, yeah, attacking the rook. I'm not concerned so much with the attack right now. I'm okay and I'm good with... I don't have a check, which is a sad part here. Yeah. What if I attack this? How is he going to defend this? With the queen? No, he's going to go here. Yeah, he's going to go here. So this is better. Now I think he has this thread. Yeah, now we are roasted here because he has this particular check. If I go with the queen to f5, now we are losing this. There is no chance here. This is the only chance. I have to do this. Why is he taking? Okay. Okay, now we are down a piece. Whoa! +4, guys, +4. This is losing. However, let me go ahead and say That what? What just happened there? What just happened there? Why did he? What? Uh, Somebody please explain what just happened there. Why did he resign? Because I'm going to get my piece back. That's it. He would have been still +1. So the point why he resigned probably is because the knight moves and then I get the piece back because I have the knights are inter-supporting each other. But there was no reason to resign. I don't know why he did that. Absolutely no idea. Guy from Norway just resigned. This is not fair. Yes, he should have, and he had more time. Now, the knights were inter-supporting. Yes, the knights were definitely inter-supporting each other. And in some lines, I would definitely get the piece back. I'll tell you, the knight would go. And by the way, should this pawn move, there is a fork. But otherwise, even then, there were always possibilities with king coming in the game. But I don't see why he resigned. I absolutely have no idea. And Prajna, do you have any idea what you've typed here? I don't know, he just resigned. Okay, so anyway, we have 20 minutes more. So I have decided that we could go for another 5+3 game, and then we could go for some tactics. Okay, but before that, let's go ahead and analyze this one. We will definitely go ahead and analyze this game that we played just now. Very important, guys. Let's go back right from the start. So this is it. So c5 is good. -1.9 at the moment. So pawn takes pawn. What we played was immediately minus, still playable. Yes, and it was here that I regret that I did not take the rook. Absolutely, it is at this move that I should have taken the rook first. Completely agreed, and I think Soumitra was also the first one in the spectators in the chat box to tell me that. That was definitely on. What I played immediately brought it to level again. So rook takes was good. And Soumitra, that's why I told you that h takes is better. So if you don't have the rook there, normally it is better to take towards the center. So if you see this analysis right now, Soumitra, so but then that's why I took with the h pawn. So Soumitra, if you're watching this, this is why I took with the h pawn. And yes, as far as the game is concerned, if he had to go somewhere, he could have asked. He could have actually asked for a draw, and I would have taken that as well. If you remember, there was one time where our opponent was winning, actually went offline, and we claimed a draw. We did not take a victory, we claimed a draw, if you remember that game. Maybe his mom wanted him to study. Anyway, so there we go. So h takes. Now pawn push is computer recommendation. By the way, you should see throughout the game, what was nice is that black was better. At every stage you can see -2, -1.9, and now here we are -1.6. So definitely it's important to note that we were playing the right lines and we were better than white for most part. Queen f6 was great. Oh, oops, what was that? I did consider this, but it was, yeah. So this one is also playable. It is here, I think, that we missed. Yes, now it's become +1.1. So computer wants us to take. Well, let's say if he would have taken with the knight, then he wanted us to play g5. With what logic? Maybe then he wants to play bishop f4. So the idea of bishop f4 was on, but after g5. Something like that. Okay. Now here I took the pawn and invited the queen exchange. However, computer suggests that I should have played the rook to d8 here. Interesting, but it still was plus 1.1. I think the main thing was this rook takes thing. This one. Here at this point, rook takes rook is a forced sequence. That's my point number 1. And I violated that rule myself. Very sad. Alright then, so time for us to go to a 5, go for a 5 plus 3 game. Do I get a 5 plus 3 game? There is half plus 5. No, this is 5 plus 0. Ain't playing that. This is 3 plus 5. And the rating is quite low. Should play someone with a similar or more rating. Similar is also okay. 1850, no, I'm 1900. Nothing here for the moment. Jay, that's what we did. We did the computer analysis, Jay. And I still don't get a decent opponent. This is, what's this? This is 5 plus 2. I'll take that. 5 plus 2, guys. I'll take that. So Alakine again. So maybe he's going to play the 4 pawns. No, not 4 pawns. It's knight c3 here. Okay. All is going well so far. Oops. Careful. Now, I believe Soumitra should agree that this file is now good. Open for the rook. Sincerely feel you like it, Soumitra? I think this is looking great. I want to push the pawns. It's just allowing me the pawn push. It's incredible. So what do we have here? Definitely go ahead with this. Surely. Let's play with initiative and tempo. Our opponent's name is just something that is I don't think can be pronounced. Look at the name of our opponent. It's just something totally incomprehensible. And now I suppose we will solidify the position with this structure. We have bishop f5 as well, queen h4 as well. Things are looking good. The c4 pawn is hanging, by the way. Now bishop g4 will look good. Decent at least. Mind you, he doesn't have this. Okay, now surely, right? It's the only move he has. I'm playing the rook. He doesn't have the mate. I have the queen covering it. Okay, now this one is not checkmate. I like that. He doesn't have the mate, guys. Of my queen covering it. Doesn't have the mate. Is he watchful? Does he realize this? And in fact, now in fact I have this. This is incredibly interesting. If I go with this rook takes, rook takes. Could go here, threatening mate, right? Guys, let's calculate this for a moment. If I go bishop g1, watch this move, guys. Bishop g1 threatening the mate on h2 with the move bishop to g1. And if it takes with the rook, well, I have rook takes. Isn't that working? I'm going to try such. Well, but what about king takes? If king takes, well, I still have the rook takes, right? Yeah, I'm going to do that. So now I have two pieces attacking the rook on e1. Otherwise, I'm threatening queen h2 mate. Now, this is fantastic. I'm trying it, guys. Rook f6 was pretty standard stuff. Let's see what happens here. This is interesting. I hope that you've understood the diagram. Oh my god, what did he just do? This is mate, right? What was that? What was that? Again, I think there is an important lesson for all of you here. This is exactly the way you guys play in the 5+3 tournament. I cannot have a better example than this. I cannot have a better example than this. Look at that. 5+3. Isn't that the same time control for you guys on Friday? Same time control. 5+3. And look why he got checkmated. He has got 3.5 minutes left on the clock. Akansh, Rupak, just Prajna, just see this. This is a perfect example of how you guys should not play. Samitra, bear with me a minute because I want to make this point. If you don't use your time, you are going to be checkmated like that. The game was 5+3 and I just played bishop g1. There would be some logic in that, right? But no, with 3.5 minutes remaining on the clock, he just lost. And let us do the analysis. The thing about analysis is you don't have to tell me whether it should be analyzed or not. I want to make this point first. The analysis can happen later. The first point to note is that Jai, even you for that matter, at times Jai is a very, very bad player when it comes to using time. And then you end up saying sorry. Don't do that. Just don't do that. All right. And yes, we will analyze this. Why not? So this is pretty standard Alakine. Okay, so he says the computer says knight takes f3, checking move first because again that's a forced move. But again, take a look at what happens. Minus 1.3. So we are playing decently here. Minus 1.5, and I appreciate this f5 move. Now this is not for the B batch guys. Now I'm talking to my A batch guys. Vihang, Saumitra. Now this is where f5 was a good initiative, I thought, because then this bishop on d3, well, that was something that I always was looking at. So this particular f5 was really definitely what I thought. Bishop g1 was something new that I thought. Rook f6 was, I believe, always on. Let's see. I appreciate this f5 idea. That is very important. So f5 and then pushing the pawn. And now here, the computer says minus 2, but with queen h4, immediately attacking it. Well, I thought of queen h4, but then let us see. I thought he'll play g3. What if he plays g3? And then we just take on h3. I didn't think of that. I just thought that he'll play g3 and then what? So then pawn push, queen. Again, you should appreciate this queen h4 move was also fantastic. Just thought of that and it is perfect. Okay. Bishop g4, fantastic. The rook a e1 as well, fantastic. The queen should have given up a piece here. That is queen takes h7, queen takes h7, bishop takes h7. And now here, computer suggests that it is minus 6.2 with the move rook to e5. I believe rook f6 and rook e5, both the ideas probably are the same. So in a way, I don't blame you guys. Rook f6 also I believe is okay here. We will analyze that. But first, let us see. Okay, so he should have taken with the king, and it is +2. So I thought of this, but then I thought we are winning rook for 2 pieces. Then what happens? Okay, now he has his h2 because the queen would be busy deflecting, destroying the defender or deflecting. But anyway, let us look at rook f6 also. Computer suggestion is rook e5, but rook f6 would also be with the same idea. So I am going to now check if this rook f6 was good. Yeah, -5.5, just as good as the computer suggestion. So brilliant. This is just as good as the computer suggestion. The idea was, of course, to go and put a checkmating trap or a mating net or whatever you want to call. Interesting, but it was 5+3, so bishop just worked. And this one was horrible. He just did not pay attention why I just played the bishop here. Although after this, you have got to play this, but then he has queen takes. And yes, we have to take here with the bishop, with the king, and then taking the rook. So here the pieces are, he is I think a pawn up. What? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. He is a pawn up here. He is a pawn up in this situation with the computer saying +2.4. Okay. So Vihang, bye-bye. Go for your lecture. Brilliant. At the moment, I think we have got another we will go ahead and do tactics. Bye Vihang. Hope to see you tomorrow. Prajna, please focus on the training at the moment. That would be greatly appreciated. Greatly appreciated. Let me get ready with the training board. The first one is going to be black to play, by the way. It's black to play, and I'm going to give you the arrows. So is it queen takes queen? Is it queen f2 check? Is it the knight to e6? Or is it rook to e8? Or is it none of these? None of these at times is a very valid option. 2 minutes for this, starting now. Okay, the time is up. Soumitra says queen f2 check, king h1, force, then rook e8, and if queen e8, Soumitra has done this previously, that's why he's sharing the answer. So queen e8, queen takes e8. What? He's saying if rook e8, then queen takes e8. Okay, because the queen cannot defend the rook. That's the point, yes. The blue one is indeed correct. And the point is you don't have checkmate here. That's why I think Rayansh was referring to the bishop. Otherwise it would be back rank checkmate. So if we go ahead and play this, now of course the knight can take. And now you can go ahead anywhere you want. Maybe the better one is... Okay, now for the juniors. Where should we go? Is it king... Is king h7 even possible? No. So wonderful. All those who said blue arrow, wonderful. But remember, not the back rank checkmate. And Soumitra, good. You probably had done this previously, so you already know. Next one is again black to play. Here is the position. So is it queen takes f2? Is it rook to... Oh, not there. Let's say, is it rook takes pawn? Is it rook b1 check? Or is it... What should be my next arrow to you? Or should it be... Yeah, or should it be none of these? None of these always is an option you cannot take away from the equation. Guys, as far as the name of the tournament is concerned, I think champion of the hub is okay. So if that has not been used, let me know. Let me know if the name has been used. The champion of the hub. Very important, guys. Has that name been used? Not the champions of the hub, okay? The champion of the hub. Soumitra, provide some inputs if the name has been used for a Friday's tournament. People are saying used. We've used this name before, Soumitra. We don't want to repeat it, of course, if it has been used, but I'm not quite sure. Relying on your input now before we finalize it. Okay, the time is up and Soumitra is saying multi-named arrow. Multi-named arrow is good. Rook b1, king g2. Then Nijapkar also suggests the yellow arrow because after that you have queen takes b1 check, and then whatever happens, queen b2 will pick up the rook. So has been used, not champion. Okay, so finally I'll come on camera for this. Guys, Champions has been used. Champion has not been used. So I suggest strongly that Soumitra, for this Friday, you can go for the name the champion of the hub. Okay. Even better, the Blitz champion of the hub. So I'm going to type it in the chat. The Blitz champion of the hub. So that should be the name, okay? The Blitz champion of the hub for this Friday. Don't be disappointed if I did not take your entry this time. Every Friday we play a tournament, so you'll get a chance on some Friday. Don't worry if I have not taken your name for now. At the moment, let's finish this on leeches first. Yes, you are right. The multicolored arrow is good because after this check, now we can just come to B2 and pick up the rook. Now we don't want to exchange the queen here. We want to pick up the extra rook. Fantastic. Okay guys, so for the moment I think we'll stop the stream. It was wonderful. Don't know why our opponent resigned, but we were lucky to get some points. He thought maybe there was a fork, I don't know. He should not. He could have asked for a draw. I would have happily taken that if he had to go somewhere. Although the second game was pretty interesting. 5+3. Remember, you don't make that mistake that our opponent did. He played very fast. He had 3.5 minutes left when he got checkmated. We are going to meet tomorrow, and tomorrow's session is for the A batch. Tomorrow I'm going to share some more photos and videos of the hub. That should be something to look forward to. Some memories of the hub, videos and photos both. So we will have a lovely time tomorrow. And at the moment, we will say goodbye. Please stay at home. Take good care. We will meet tomorrow at 6. Soumitra, I hope you made a note of the name. And don't forget to add that the champion, the Blitz champion of the hub. Okay.